There. But it says unable to. Yeah, there we go. Yay! I did it. Maggie. Hi, greetings from
I
Ecuador.
didn't. Hi.
Hi!
That was so funny. Billy was making fun of both of us the whole time.
Thank you, Billy.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Okay.
nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Um, Thank you for coming to talk to
Thank.
me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for
Um,
talking to me about this.
yeah, I thought I'd start by introducing everyone to you. This is Maggie Baird. Am I saying your last name right? Baird.
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
And we met. You want to tell why we're connected?
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who saw that I was doing this project called Support and Feed, and because you're this amazing environmental activist, he said you guys have to meet. So we talked, and we have so much in common and so much passion for the same thing. So that's how we met.
Yes. And I ran into your daughter, Billy, at an Oscar event on a dance floor and said hello. And I had no idea that she was vegan. My son told me that later.
Cute. I love it. Your son knew.
He's 8. And so I was so happy to know that. It's so great.
Your son is not only a vegan, your son makes his own avocado toast and puts arugula on it.
Yeah, he put kimchi, arugula, sprouts. He
Unbelievable.
eats tahini sauce, and he's a little chef. He wants to be on Master Junior Chef, uh,
Wow.
but he's really sad because he thinks that he'd have to do meat and he won't do it. So he's like not having it.
Those cooking shows all need a vegan version.
Totally,
They do.
absolutely.
Every time I watch them, I'm like, why don't, and they sometimes they do like 1 week vegan. I'm like, just do a whole show. Just do the
That would
whole
show
thing.
their real skill, right? If they
Yeah.
could make the most perfect, delicious salad, like everything. I would want to see them what they do with beans, what they do with grain, what they do with veggies, everything.
What they do with dessert.
Yeah, dessert. So tell me, we are here today because we want to talk about this amazing thing that you're doing, um, support and feed. And why don't you tell us about your mission and how you thought of this at all? Tell.
Okay. Well, what happened was we were out on tour, Billy's tour, by the way, where we had the most amazing vegan catering from Eat Your Heart Out, unreal. And we were so sad not only to leave tour, but to leave that incredible catering. Um, and we came home, and after a few days, I was just thinking of all the sadnesses and the various sad things. And one of them was worrying about the local restaurants in LA, the vegan restaurants. And then I thought, gosh, and there's so many people who are hungry. What if we could order food from restaurants, from the vegan restaurants, and have it sent to places where it's needed? So I tried to do it myself, and I did it myself. I called up Sage and I ordered $200 worth of food, and I had it sent to the Midnight Mission. And, it was relatively successful, but I thought, gosh, there's a lot of challenges involved in that. What can they receive? What can the restaurants accommodate? How is it safe? What should I order? And I thought, there's got to be a better way that people could do this really simply. So the next morning I mentioned it to two people, Justin Lubleiter at Darkroom Records and Rose Forbes at Two Tree Events, and they were like, I'm going to help you with this. And Rose immediately called Conscious Cleanup, this other amazing organization, and we had Jeanette, who works at Mix on Beverly, and all these people just jumped on board. And within like 6 days, 5 days, we were up and running. And the way it works is you just go to our website. There's a list of all the restaurants. You just go to any one of them. There'll be an obvious way to donate money. And it goes to the restaurant who then makes food. And then we've organized it with Conscious Cleanup. They do our delivery and organizing the charities. And it goes to the charities, or the organizations goes to first responders, hospital workers, homeless shelters, women's shelters, LGBTQ shelters. Anywhere people need food, we're taking food there. And the restaurants are making it. And so the restaurants are being able to stay open.
It's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, it's been very
So
rewarding.
good. Do you have any stats on like how many people you're able to feed at this point?
I do. Just in the last, we've been going for less than 2 weeks, and we've already delivered 1,550 meals, 625 donuts from Donut Friend, and 1,000 cans of water that were donated from Right Water. And I mean, I got to go on the Deliveries yesterday. It was so incredible. The food was beautiful. We went to 5 different restaurants for pickup, and then after we went to the yesterday, where did we go? Let's see. I have it down. Yesterday we went to the LAAC USC Hospital ICU department and violence intervention department, and we took like 325 meals there, and then we took another whole set of meals after that to a shelter.
So how are you sort of deciding where to go first with the food when you get enough funds from people donating and then you are ready to go out and deliver the food? How do you pick who's the most in need at this moment for food?
Well, that's all coordinated partly by Conscious Cleanup, which is helping us in LA. It's just, it's like how, yeah, it's a puzzle. That's why it's hard to do yourself. It really takes the help of doing this because we know all the different places that have agreed that they need the food. So we have to find out like what kind of food can they receive at what time, in what form. And then we coordinate it with what restaurants are available. Because the thing is, the restaurants can only have, at this point, they can't have an endless supply of food available.
Yeah.
So they may only have 2 days worth of food at any given time, and they have to feed their regular customers. So we need a little bit of lead time, to say, okay, can you make 80 burritos next Monday? And then another place, can you make, 80 something? And we put them all together. So we're not overtaxing any one restaurant at one time.
That's great.
And then we're delivering to who can use what we have at that time.
Good. Okay, good. So my thing is going to make noise. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Technically challenged over here. I wanted to mention that while, there's so many people trying to feed people, and why I'm so grateful that you're doing it the way you're doing it is because, aside from this pandemic that we're having, COVID, our planet is in a state of climate emergency, right? And the United Nations says that we have roughly 10 years to prevent irreversible damage.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing the effects of this all the time already. And what we know is that avoiding meat and dairy is the single biggest way to reduce your impact. Yeah. So I'm so jazzed that Support and Feed is using food that treads lightly on the earth, that is good for people. You're nourishing people with food that's going to make them healthier. Especially when we want to protect ourselves right now with a virus. You want to have your immune system as strong as possible. This is food that supports that. Also that 2 million people die a year from hunger because we take there's enough food on the planet to feed everyone, but we take the food out of those people's mouths, feed it to animals. It's such an inefficient use of resources. And then in turn, that limited amount of food that's made, the meat and dairy, is just making people have heart disease and cancer, then killing another 1.5 million a year. So we're killing a lot of people a year through this choice of food. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win for the hungry. It's a win for the people who are hungry all over the world, who can't eat because of the food distribution problem. But our climate, I'm just so grateful that you're doing it this way. I love when people feed the hungry with vegan food. Nothing makes me happier. It's just such a good combo.
And it's really amazing. We've gotten such an great response. Not only is the food incredible. I mean, I look at it like, this is food from some of the greatest restaurants in Los Angeles, but they're so happy because, there's a lot of healthy eaters and vegans out there, and they're like, we don't usually get fed in these situations. So this is food that everyone can eat. And of course, everyone can eat plant-based food. It's not limited in any way. And I love the points you're making about the climate. A lot of what's happening is directly related to the climate crisis. People don't make those connections, but, one of the things that we've been reading about is that wild animals spread a lot of these pathogens, and wild animals are infiltrating cities more and more because we're destroying their habitat. So we're literally exposing people in cities who are already often have weakened immune systems from crowded conditions and air pollution. And then we're exposing them to these wild animal pathogens. So it's all part of the same problem. It is all part of climate change in many ways.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is.
not going away. If we, when we survive this epidemic, we
Yes.
still have the other one sitting right there, you know?
No.
It's
I wish we could just give everyone the magic understanding that their food choices affect everything, right? That not only will you be your happiest, healthiest, most vibrant self when you eat this way and be fending off so much illness, and protecting yourself and making yourself your moods, like everyone's very scared right now. And another
yeah.
thing that this eating this way really balances your mood, makes you calm, and makes you feel your best. But also so good for the climate, so good for the hungry that we talked about, so good for animals, the torture of animals. What's
Oh yeah.
happening is
Well,
so
that's
outrageous.
that's so important, and especially in a time like this when there's so much suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terribly tragic time. And, I think one of the things I love about being a vegan and a lifelong, almost lifelong vegetarian before that was, it's one thing you wake up in the morning and you go, it's one thing I'm not doing at least. I'm at least not contributing to the cruelty of animals. And this horrible time to think that we could be adding to that cruelty. It's very comforting to at least not be part of that process.
Yes, for sure. That's what I remember when I first made the change. That was why I wanted to not be able to, I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and be able to say, like, I'm doing good and I'm contributing to the solution and not being a part of the problem. And we just know too much now
We
to know
do.
that we cannot continue this way. And it just hurts everyone. Everyone's so sick,
Mm.
and our earth is sick, and it's such a wake-up call, like crying out of the earth to say, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah. And,
um,
also, it's in all the things you can do in your life, it's really one of the easier things you can do.
yeah,
It's really not hard. And
yeah, eat
especially
delicious food that makes you feel good.
delicious food. I mean, it's really, and I know people just have, grown up eating a different way sometimes, but it doesn't, it is possible to learn. And of course, YouTube is full of vegan cooking. There's so many
Yeah,
ways you can learn about it, but it's just something that's pretty straightforward that anyone can do,
yeah,
starting right now.
yeah. Yeah, we show on my Instagram, I'm always showing how Bear eats, how I feed my son, how we eat to stay healthy and feel good, and delicious treats too. What is
Yeah.
the food that you're making? I mean, that you're delivering when you said just to make everybody's mouths water? What is the food that people?
Oh my gosh. Well, yesterday there were so many, these big, beautifully wrapped burritos from Cena Vegan, and then a bunch from Sage, and then Hinterhof, which is this incredible place in Highland Park, which is a German beer garden that's vegan, and picking up these schnitzels, I mean, everything, trays, the shelters take trays. So, there were trays of food from Sage. Everything is packaged. I can't actually see it because for safety I can't see it, but just the packaging, I was like, I know what's in that because I know all these restaurants, Crossroads, all
Pasta. Yum.
Crimsey's has like Crimsey's is Cajun food, beignets, and by Chloe. I mean, it's all of our favorite
Yeah.
LA restaurants.
Yeah.
And so
So
we know what's in there. We're like, oh, I know what they're getting right now. I'm so happy for them.
so lucky. I want
It's
it
so
all. um, what else was I going to ask you about?
Oh, one thing I wanted to say about that when we were talking about the environment,
Mhm.
so many of uh, the the infections, the viruses people get are animal born. And some people say, yeah, but so many of them, why do we get sick from lettuce, or why do we get sick from spinach? It's like, it's not the lettuce, it's not the spinach. It is the feces coming from the meat plants or farms running into the lettuce. So
Yeah.
it is still the animal related problem.
Yeah.
It's not natural in lettuce.
Yeah, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, warns that 3 out of every 4 new or emerging infectious diseases in people come from animals. That includes viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites. They infect millions of US citizens every single year. and that's all
Wow.
from animal foods. You know, and in addition, the foodborne illness and environmental pollution, animal agriculture can also incite global pandemics like H1N1, which was initially called swine flu
Right.
because it was linked to a similar disease in pigs, but its connection to animal agriculture has been squashed. They don't, the animal agriculture business, they don't